The other day I was here and I got triggered by something. There was two cars here at this intersection. One was in front of the other one, and there was a honk. The car behind the front car was saying, "You better get moving." But this wasn't the case of the car in the front. It was looking at their phone, and there was cars going all the way on this other one. They were turning left and doing U-turns. It was too dangerous. But this person behind was just like gonna push that person out into a dangerous situation. And I started to assess, like, is this real evil unfolding in front of me? Because I looked at the person behind and she like had her phone out and she was just like impatient looking. Finally, the car in front did find a way to go. And then the car behind pulled out right behind her, even though there was a car coming. And so I did what I had to do. I did big arms, and I found myself in a distressed, emotional state afterwards. I was feeling like evil had won in that situation. Like this person had bullied somebody else into an unsafe situation and pulled out before she was supposed to, and she got away with it and she was fine, she was happy. And I also feel like she had an expensive car, and I was like, if you're gonna be that much of a jerk, how come you get this nice car? And I also felt like, well, I shouldn't have done that. I hate big arms. Why did I do big arms? What was I trying to do there? Is there a way that approaching this situation spiritually can improve my experience of it and give me clues on how to act in the future? I got 3 Swedenborg books in here that have 3 particular quotes in them that apply directly to my situation that was here. Let's see what kind of journey it takes me on. Okay, so first thing I have to do is check myself. I gotta make sure that I'm not the problem in the situation, that I'm not approaching this with a lack of neighborly love. When neighborly love is absent, self-love is present, along with hatred for anyone who does not cater to oneself. If you don't think I'm cool, I've got a grudge against you already, because I just secretly kind of latently want everyone to think I'm the best all the time. That is why people who lack neighborly love see nothing in their neighbor besides that neighbor's evil. So the state of evil, the state of putting myself above other people and subjugating them in some way, it really wants to find evil in other people, because then I'm justified in treating them bad, but I already wanted to treat them bad in the first place. Finding someone guilty of something just says, now I can get you. Those who are guided by kindness, on the other hand, hardly even notice evil in another person, but pay attention instead to everything good and true in the person. When they do find anything bad or false, they put a good interpretation on it. This is characteristic of all angels, one they acquire from the Lord, who bends everything bad toward good. What state was I in when I was looking at that person who was honking? What if it really was true that there was a good interpretation? How would I interpret that situation? What if they care as much as I do about trying to create a safe environment for everyone? If they think it's rude to push people into a dangerous situation, but I caught them in a bad moment. I sort of tried to do that a little in the moment, but I don't know if I really sat there with it and thought, and not only gave it real consideration that this person might be acting from a better motive than I perceived, but to know that either way, trying to act on that and giving them a pass and trusting that there is something good is the way that angels do it. It's the right way to do it, even though then I don't get to do the big arms. But the second thing is the wealth thing. I did notice in myself this little like, I can't believe she's getting away with this, and she's rich, and she's just gonna be so happy in her richness. So I think I need to look a little deeper at my own feelings around that and see if we can get something that Swedenborg says about wealth. If we give the matter only a little rational thought, we can see what makes eminence and wealth blessings and what makes them curses. Specifically, they are blessings for people who do not set their heart on them, and curses for people who do. To set one's heart on them is to love oneself in them, and to not And not to set one's heart on them is to love the service they can perform and not oneself enough. If you have that car and you're feeling like, look at how much better I am than these other people next to me, that's a problem, because that's cementing that love of self in you, and that's going to be really hard to pull out of you. But you could also say, I've got a really important job to do, or I've got to take care of my family, and luckily this car that I'm in lets me do that, but I'm focused on the welfare of those that I'm ultimately serving, and this is just to make it so I'm proficient in my role. It can actually be just fine. I need to add that eminence and wealth seduce some people, but not others. They are seductive when they arouse the loves of our sense of self, which is self-love. And if I see that person or any person, and I feel like they have so much stuff, they're so lucky, and I don't like how it makes them feel better than the rest of us. Actually, I can be thinking, oh, I hope that doesn't seduce you. I hope that you having that station in life doesn't lock you in to love of self in the world. Which might not sound that profound, but it's a flip for me as I'm sitting there and I'm getting upset and I'm feeling victimized by this person who I feel like is bullying the world, to realize that I could be in a place of wanting to kind of look out for them and say, all right, I hope that's not turning out bad for you. I hope you're going to be safe from your own wealth. I feel different. I feel less bunched up and less worried about it, and more of this compassion coming through. So we addressed like trying to put a good interpretation on it. We've addressed that the wealth thing, you can look at that differently. But what if all of that isn't true? That this happens to be an instance where this person really was acting from evil. Well, then what do? How do I approach that spiritually? That's what we're going to find out. Swedenborg's got the answer in True Christianity. The Lord restrains not only all people, but also all angels from evil, and keeps them focused instead on what is good. No angels or people are good on their own. Even when we've ascended into this spiritual state and you're like good and nice almost all the time, it's not because you on your own strength are better than this person. It's because God has got you to the point where God is keeping you withheld from the tendency. I would go and honk at everybody, and I would think I was better than everybody if God hadn't provided the circumstances to put me where I am, hadn't given me the resilience to be where I am, hadn't given me the ideas and teachings to be where I am, and even moment to moment literally held my spirit back from the continual goading that hell does on everyone to go and act like that. The reason why I feel hurt, and the reason why I feel indignant, and the reason why I feel critical, and the reason why I feel shook from the whole thing is that I'm believing that there's this competition where I have a certain amount of good and they have a certain amount of good. But actually, what I should be feeling is empathy and understanding that if God wasn't pulling me out, I'd be doing the same thing. And gratitude for God to give me a little more cognizance of how to act kindly at the time. You wouldn't want to see my lowlight reel of all the times I've been obnoxious in my life. But even without keeping score, knowing that the Lord is the good one in the situation. The Lord is the one who's not honking. All the rest of us either are or would be if God wasn't stepping in and doing that. And as soon as I believe that and stack that with the idea of wealth being either a blessing or a curse, and the idea of put a good interpretation on, I suddenly see that I am in the exact same position as that person who was honking. The difference is what God's been able to do. But I'm in the same position as that person. And from that, I get this peace, and I get this sense of empathy, and I end up feeling okay and feeling compassionate and feeling a little more spiritual about the whole thing.